Once upon a time, Will Smith was untouchable. The Fresh Prince, a Hollywood king, a man who could turn any movie into a blockbuster and charm any crowd with just a smile. But today, that shine is fading. From shocking public outbursts to messy marriage revelations to career-shaking scandals, Will Smith's image is crumbling in front of the world. What really happened to the man who was once America's favorite star? And why does his downfall seem to be getting worse and worse with every headline? Today, we're diving deep into the scandals, mistakes, and choices that brought him here, and why redemption may no longer be an option. Before the controversies and scandals, Will Smith was one of the most loved stars on the planet. Born in Philadelphia, he rose to fame as the playful and witty lead of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That role made him a household name, but he didn't stop there. Smith jumped into Hollywood and became the face of blockbuster movies like Men in Black, Independence Day, and I Am Legend. He earned Grammys, Oscar nominations, and finally an Oscar win for King Richard. For decades, Smith carried a clean and inspiring image. He was the fun dad, the dependable star, and the rare celebrity nearly everyone liked. This reputation gave him massive power and trust. That's what makes his downfall so dramatic. The higher the pedestal, the harder the fall. His brand wasn't just fame, it was credibility built over 30 years. The first major public crack in Will Smith's image came in 2020, when his wife Jada Pinkett Smith revealed her entanglement with singer August Alsina. During a Red Table Talk episode, Jada admitted to the relationship while she and Will were separated. The word entanglement quickly became a global punchline, trending across social media and filling headlines. What made the moment worse was the way it played out. The couple chose to air their private struggles in front of millions, with Will sitting across the table visibly emotional as Jada described her connection with August. Viewers turned screenshots of his face into memes, labeling him "Sad Will" and mocking their marriage as chaotic. This episode shattered the perfect family brand that had protected Smith for years. Fans who once admired the couple's unity now saw dysfunction and pain. By the time future scandals hit, the public was less sympathetic. The entanglement wasn't just gossip, it marked the start of a shift. Smith went from untouchable Hollywood royalty to a man whose personal life became internet comedy, making his reputation weaker and more vulnerable than ever. The single moment that turned Will Smith's career upside down happened on March 27, 2022, at the Academy Awards. During the live broadcast, comedian Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head, comparing her to G.I. Jane. Within seconds, Will walked onto the stage and slapped Rock across the face. Millions of viewers around the world watched in shock. What made the situation worse wasn't just the slap, it was everything that followed. Smith returned to his seat, shouted profanity at Rock, and then, only minutes later, went on stage again to accept his first ever Oscar for King Richard. Instead of celebrating his biggest career achievement, the world was focused on his violent outburst. The slap became one of the most viral cultural moments in modern history. Social media exploded, late-night shows roasted him, and even Hollywood insiders openly questioned his self-control. Soon after, the Academy banned him from attending the Oscars for 10 years. This wasn't just another celebrity scandal, it was the collapse of an image built over decades. Smith had always been the safe star, the one families trusted. In one night, that safety net vanished. The slap turned him from beloved hero into a cautionary tale about rage and accountability. The slap didn't end with memes and headlines. Hollywood responded quickly and harshly. Projects that once seemed unstoppable for Will Smith were suddenly paused or canceled. Netflix slowed down development on Fast and Loose, a film he was set to star in. Sony put the brakes on Bad Boys 4, leaving one of his most successful franchises in limbo. Other studios quietly stepped back from working with him, fearing public backlash. Financially, the impact was massive. Smith had been one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood, regularly pulling $20 million or more per movie. With projects delayed or killed, his pipeline of income shrank overnight. Endorsement opportunities dried up too, since brands didn't want to be linked to his controversy. But beyond money, the real cost was credibility. Hollywood is built on reputation, and suddenly, Will wasn't considered bankable. Directors and producers openly debated whether audiences could take him seriously again, or if every appearance would just remind viewers of the slap. The Academy's 10-year ban cemented the stigma. Even if he wins more awards, he can't attend Hollywood's biggest night until 2032. For a man who spent decades building his career toward respect, this punishment was devastating. The industry that once embraced him suddenly treated him like a liability. If the Oscar slap cracked Will Smith's image, what came after was a steady dismantling, and much of it came from his own household. Jada Pinkett Smith's press tours and memoir releases dragged the family's private struggles into the spotlight over and over again. In 2023, Jada revealed in interviews that she and Will had actually been living separate lives for years before the slap. This wasn't the picture-perfect marriage Hollywood had been sold for decades. Instead, it was a partnership full of distance, pain, and agreements that didn't align with traditional vows. Each revelation fueled endless debate online. Worse, every time Jada spoke, Will's reputation seemed to suffer. Fans began asking, why did Will tolerate so much disrespect in public? Why did his private marriage drama keep becoming public content? Jada's Red Table Talk show had already normalized airing family secrets, from Willow's struggles to Jaden's complaints about fame. But when Jada turned the lens on Will, the sympathy shifted. What had once been the Smith family empire started looking like a messy soap opera. And while Jada's honesty earned her book sales and attention, it left Will looking diminished. Instead of being seen as a strong Hollywood leader, he came across as a man trapped in endless humiliation. Even before the slap, cracks were forming in Will Smith's career. While he had major hits like Aladdin, 2019, and King Richard, 2021, other projects didn't land the same way. Gemini Man 2019 was a box office disappointment, losing tens of millions despite big promotion. After Earth 2013, a project he developed with Jaden, was a critical disaster and branded as nepotism gone wrong. These stumbles mattered because Smith had spent years as one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood. For nearly 2 decades, his name alone guaranteed a blockbuster. But as younger, fresher stars like Michael B. Jordan, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and even Marvel's rising actors dominated screens, Smith's formula started to feel dated. The slap didn't create the decline, it accelerated it. Suddenly, studios had an excuse to step back from a star who wasn't delivering surefire global hits anymore. His old image of being Mr. Blockbuster faded, and what remained was a patchy filmography mixed with controversy. Streaming also changed the game. Whereas Will once dominated theaters, audiences shifted online. His projects like Bright on Netflix made noise, but didn't have the cultural staying power of his earlier hits. Combined with public scandals, his fading stardom made him feel less like a leading man and more like a risky investment. Will Smith wasn't just an actor, he was a brand. At his peak, he earned up to $40 million a year, not just from movies, but also endorsements, music, and side businesses. But when scandals hit, the money side suffered too. Studios pulled back on big projects, costing him potential multi-million paychecks. Netflix and Sony delaying movies meant millions evaporated overnight. Reports also suggested that sponsors didn't want his name tied to their campaigns anymore. A major blow for someone who once marketed everything from sneakers to tech brands. Meanwhile, Will's investments and production company Westbrook Inc. took public hits. When his wife Jada's Red Table Talk was canceled in 2023, that revenue stream ended abruptly. Add to that rumors of expensive legal fees, therapy sessions, image consultants, and the financial toll of separating assets with Jada. And the picture looks messy. There were also lawsuits connected to production disputes and contracts, not all directly involving Smith, but enough to drag his name through headlines. Money isn't running out anytime soon, but the days of limitless checks are gone. The scandals didn't just bruise his image, they shrunk his empire. After the slap, Will Smith tried to apologize several times. First came the tearful Oscar speech, where he claimed love makes you do crazy things. Days later, he posted a public apology on Instagram. Then months later, he uploaded a YouTube video apologizing directly to Chris Rock, but none of it landed the way he hoped. For many fans, the apologies felt rehearsed, overly produced, and strategically timed rather than genuine. Chris Rock himself even mocked the apology in his Netflix special, saying the slap hurt, but the jokes hurt Smith even more. Smith also tried softer PR moves, family videos, quiet charity donations, even showing up at spiritual retreats. But each effort felt drowned out by new interviews from Jada or continued memes online. Instead of repairing his brand, the attempts reminded people of the slap and his marriage drama. The more he tried to fix his image, the more he seemed trapped in it. Hollywood loves a comeback story, but Smith's recovery efforts seemed forced. Rather than proving growth, his PR campaign looked like damage control. And for audiences, that only deepened the mistrust. Will Smith's downfall isn't just about Hollywood, it's about the fans. For decades, he was one of the most universally liked stars in the world. But after the scandals, the audience split. Some diehard fans defended him, insisting everyone makes mistakes and that he deserved forgiveness. They pointed out his decades of good work and philanthropy. But a larger, louder group turned on him, saying violence and hypocrisy couldn't be excused. The phrase, "keep my wife's name out your mouth," became a meme, and not in a flattering way. Cancel culture hit hard. Event organizers quietly dropped him. Endorsements went away. Online, TikTok and Twitter users mocked his every move, turning once serious statements into punchlines. Even younger fans who didn't grow up with Fresh Prince saw him less as a hero and more as that guy who slapped Chris Rock. This backlash hit where it hurt most. Smith thrived on being beloved. His movies were global because people liked him, not just the script. When that affection turned into doubt, his star power collapsed. The audience no longer saw Will Smith as the charismatic everyman. They saw him as a flawed man who couldn't take a joke, couldn't control his anger, and couldn't stop his family drama from spilling into public. For a celebrity who built a career on likability, that's a fatal blow. Will Smith's story isn't just about one man. It's about what happens when fame, ego, and lack of accountability collide. For decades, Hollywood held him up as the perfect example of success. Family man, blockbuster king, role model. That's why his downfall matters more than just gossip. First, there's the impact on victims. Chris Rock was humiliated on live TV. His kids and wife faced constant public exposure without consent. Coworkers and collaborators had to watch their projects stall or collapse because of his scandals. Second, there's the message to fans. When Smith's behavior was excused again and again, it normalized toxic patterns: cheating, aggression, hiding behind PR instead of accountability. Viewers deserve better than to see their idols act without consequence. Finally, it's about Hollywood itself. The industry that once used Smith as proof that global superstardom was possible now has to reckon with how fragile that image is. Stardom can crumble overnight, not from box office failure, but from one slap, one confession, one exposed lie. Will Smith's downfall shows us that charisma can hide flaws, but it can't erase them forever. His smile once lit up theaters worldwide. Now, it reminds audiences of a man who let anger and ego destroy decades of goodwill. And the longer his scandals drag on, the harder it becomes to imagine a true comeback. When you step back and look at Will Smith's career, a pattern emerges, one that explains why his downfall keeps spiraling. Time and again, Smith has faced criticism, and time and again, the response has been excuses rather than accountability. From cheating rumors in his marriage to the slap at the Oscars, the narrative has often been, "Stress made me do it," "Love made me act out," or "You don't understand the full story." While these defenses may earn temporary sympathy, they don't show lasting growth. Instead, they build a cycle where fans expect the next scandal rather than hope for his comeback. His mental health struggles, career pressures, and personal pain are real. But when they're used as shields every time a controversy hits, the public stops believing. Excuses may buy time, but accountability is the only path to trust. Will Smith never fully owned the pattern: rage, apology, repeat. And that's why people now see the downfall not as a single mistake, but as a personality flaw. His legacy is no longer Hollywood's golden boy, but a cautionary tale of how charisma can mask dysfunction until it explodes. The truth is, audiences don't want another apology video. They want a star who takes responsibility. And so far, Will Smith hasn't delivered that. The big question now, can Will Smith ever truly recover? Hollywood has a long history of giving stars second chances. Mel Gibson, Robert Downey Jr., and others bounced back after scandals. But the difference is that Will's controversies are public, ongoing, and tied to his family life, something that doesn't just fade. Every new interview from Jada, every meme about the slap, every awkward PR move keeps his downfall alive. Redemption usually comes when a star disappears for a while, rebuilds quietly, and then returns. But Smith hasn't stayed silent long enough. His attempts to rush back into public life only keep the wounds open. There's also a generational problem. Younger audiences don't have the same nostalgic love for Fresh Prince or his early blockbusters. To them, he's defined by scandal first, talent second. That makes a comeback even harder. It's possible he could find redemption through smaller, raw projects, indie films, documentaries, or advocacy work. But the days of Will Smith being the safe billion-dollar superstar are over. Whether he accepts that or keeps chasing his old glory will decide his future. Right now, though, the stain is permanent. The downfall isn't ending, it's deepening. Will Smith's story is a warning. Fame doesn't protect you from consequences, it only magnifies them. His downfall isn't about one slap, one scandal, or one bad decision. It's about a pattern that finally caught up with him. From the Oscar stage to the broken family image, from Hollywood blockbusters to canceled projects, Will Smith went from being untouchable to being unpredictable. And in today's world, that's a career killer. But what do you think? Can Will Smith rebuild, or is his downfall permanent? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear where you stand. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into celebrity scandals, and stay tuned. Our next video will map the full timeline of Smith's controversies, from his early rise to his darkest moments. You won't want to miss it.